No, Bobby. Bobby Tatum was in there, and he was talking about they got to him, and he's in his own head. He's thinking too much. He's passing up good shots. That's what killed me the most. Is he's getting into places where he could rise up and shoot, and he's just not doing it. He's getting into the lane, and he's passing. He's all out of sorts right now. I think having a tough time getting to the rim in the first game or two has really messed with him.
Yeah, because he loses that outlet to his game. That was the space where he could make passes from. It was a place where he could steadily finish or draw free throws. And instead, he's getting caught in between. And that mid-ranger is sort of a game that he's trying to phase out of his arsenal a little bit here.
Nah, it's sexy. Bring it back. Yeah.
That's not one that he wants to in the habit of bringing back. And so much of the way he's played, Jalen's played this year, it's been building habits. And the way the Bucks defend works against that. You want to shoot a lot of jump shots. You want to be aggressive and get those shots off when you have this there. And I'm startled in this game. I believe I just saw the number that Wes Matthews held him to. Oh, no, that was just his total shooting line for the game was the 419. But Wes Matthews in a primary role on him, causing a bunch of trouble. And listen, John, I picked the Celtics in 7 coming into this. The amount of things I'm starting to see stack against them in this series is getting really concerning because one of the biggest advantages I thought they had were those wing matchups.
They're going to find a matchup because you knew Holiday was going to be on one of the two, and they should be able to hunt that matchup, whether it was Grayson Allen or Wes Matthews. And Tatum allowed himself to get eaten up by Wes Matthews tonight, which is crazy.
I did not expect that.
There's help, but he's getting help, though. There's help, no doubt.
But you know what helped also, and I don't know if maybe it's just me, if you guys noticed this, but I saw a handful of possessions where I feel like they've shifted their defense, where they're starting to let Rob roam a bit, right? Like he's getting those easy dunks, he's getting those those looks down low, but I feel like they're sort of letting him roam a bit because they're applying more pressure on Jayson Tatum. Like everyone's sort of switching in that space, and they're sort of giving him that a bit of an island there. Obviously, when he gets the ball in his hands, they capitalize, and most of the time they were late, but they're sort of living with that. I thought that was one of the many adjustments that Budenholzer made, in Game 3.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it almost worked to their benefit that they ended up having foul trouble for Lopez because they got him out of the game for that stretch where they had Connaughton.
He was constantly late,
Portis, Giannis. It was a much more versatile lineup that they had out there after that with Matthews and Holiday. Defensively, they were able to match up around the perimeter with that group, and they were able to spread the Celtics out in those lineups too. Giannis dishing to open guys again and again on the offensive end. And defensively, Tatum's just going to be better. That's what he said in the press conference. Like, he's getting the right balance game in and game out of passing and shooting. This was just one slip-up for him where he was overthinking, caught in between, hesitating to shoot, and really just completely out of this game for most of it. That possession really rallying, and he just forced up a shot, pushing off of Matthews. Started pushing off throughout that second half of separation. He got in his own head, and he started playing sloppy. He wasn't really in the flow of the offense. And listen, I know this is interesting coming from this show, but thank the Lord for Jalen, right? Taking control of the offense late and putting themselves in positions to score.
Right. Good night.
He took over.
Fourth quarter Jalen. That's what you wanted.
Let me guess. This is the first time Jalen's been mentioned.
No, we gave him tons of credit because I even cited Bobby because
what needed a sequel. He needed a sequel to get.
No, I'm just messing around. I brought up something Bobby brings up, which is one of the things Jalen does a couple things consistently. Is there is that big first quarter, or when the offense stagnates and they can't hit from the outside, he starts to get into the paint and gets them those easy looks, or he got to the free throw line a little bit, and they need that badly, and that was that really keyed the turnaround. Al, who was probably the most consistently good player all night.
Wow, where did that come from?
Start to finish, but Jalen was a key to that fourth quarter comeback. Without him, they're not even in the ball game, so you're not even having the discussion. He was huge there, no question about it.
Yeah,
so we did talk about him, and
Bobby, hold on. Why are you acting like Al? This isn't his first. Why are you acting like this is his first 20 and 15 game in the postseason?
You don't know. I'm talking about that 7-3 stretch where he was dribbling into the half court and pulling up and nailing shots. That's not
this is the type of game that would have gotten Lou Merlone off his back. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, right.
There would be no average Al nickname.
Savage Al.
Yeah.
What's funny too? I
He's
feel
been
halfway
ginormous.
halfway through the fourth quarter, I think she tweeted it out too. She was like, "Get him the ball. He's failing it," and then he just went off right after that tweet went out. But
Yeah.
His shot's in a great place.
It is. You know what? And again, I'm not sure if you see anything different with the release. It looks like he's got less chicken wing than before. It looks like he's a little, you know what I mean? He's got that weird, ugly kind of thing. It looks like he's brought it in a little bit. It looks more compact. It looks a little bit cleaner.
Elbows in more, and it's like
Do you see it?
quicker. The flick, yeah.
It's
So when I was-
quicker, it's shorter, and it's more in as opposed to that big over the head
He's
thing.
just like flinging that thing.
It's a little bit, it's just a different, slightly different looking shot than what we're used to.
The way it was described to me, and I talked to the guy who, helped him develop his shot early on in his life, is it's more of a set shot. It's more of a set shot when he's successful, similar to what Towns is doing. He was saying like him and Towns almost have the same release when they're at their best. And before he was taking jump shots, like, the opposite of the set shot there. I don't really see the huge difference between the two. And again, I think you make some good points there, John, mechanically on how it's come together for him. But he couldn't make anything early in the year. And now he's hitting everything. Yeah. It's unreal. But he's the MVP of the series for Boston so far. The work he's doing on Giannis.
Especially because
still
Rob
contributing offensively.
Because Rob hasn't been great at all. And I think that they need Al like crazy. I mean, we talked about Al.
I think Milwaukee knows that about Rob. That's what I think too. I think they're like, this guy is nowhere near 100%. Let's just let him,
He's not, he's out of rhythm. And when you get a body into him, I feel like he loses about a foot off his vertical, and he's not challenging at all. So when they're physical with him, he's just not contesting.
Right.
At all.
That's why I think I wouldn't be shocked if the Budenholzer's assistants were like, well, he's going to give up a bunch of these. We're going to give up these alley-oops. He's like, so what? Let's add more pressure to Tatum and shut him down, And I think that it worked in this game. It worked in game 3.
Can I ask you guys something? Because I didn't get a good answer on it, but I thought it was such a shift in this game was Giannis was able to get away from Horford. Horford had the foul trouble, so that was probably part of it, but he was able to get away from Grant too and get on Tatum in spots.
Well, I feel like he may switch Jalen to him late, but anyway, go ahead.
Jalen switched on him
he did.
A ton.
That was the Celtics, right? Giving that up.
The Celtics wanted that. I think they wanted Jalen out on him. I don't know if they wanted to bother him a little bit more before he got ahead of steam, but that looked like a strategy, not something that Milwaukee was hunting. But what was the question? What do you want to ask?
I was just wondering how he got all those different matchups when the plan in game 2 was to have Grant Horford on an island there.
Yeah.
The switches killed Boston in those spots because he can just bowl through the wings. There's no resistance there whatsoever. So I know they want to mix up the looks on him and keep him off on his toes, but when you want to just stick with what worked until it stops working, I didn't love that move in this game. I thought that was a big reason they lost.
Yeah, they started switching on him. I don't know, because maybe he had it going, and they were trying something different. I don't know if it's individual foul trouble too, because their bench is so short right now. And when Grant's stacking up fouls, you had to be careful about who you had there. So you maybe started to play the switch game a little bit. I'm not really sure what the strategy was behind that.
Ime told me it was a little bit of both. He was able to force some of those. They gave up some of them. Not really some strong answers there on what's shifted, but I love what they did on game. I love what they did on game 2 on him. I thought that was the sweet spot, but nothing's going to last for long, I guess, is thinking that.
I still like playing him straight up, and you live with whatever you have there. Again, nobody on Milwaukee, without Middleton out there, there's just nobody out there who, fine, Connaughton will knock down some shots. Jrue Holiday's not a high percentage shooter too. I'm willing to give up what he's going to get from the outside as well. I mean, he's a good ball player, but you're just not really worried about getting beat by anybody else on the Bucks right now.
It's true, and you forgot to mention too, John. Grayson Allen is still seeing Jalen in his nightmares. So I don't know where he
no
is.
show.
No show. He didn't show up at all today.
When the Celtics turned up the D late, nobody on the Bucks
wanted it.
Anything to do with getting a shot off.
They're looking at the scoreboard like, is this game over? Like they were just trying to keep that lead as long as they could. They're like, man, this quarter just won't end.
The Celtics put the clamps down in the fourth there, and nobody wanted anything to do with any of it. They did not want that.
I'm so torn on this series right now. Like you start checking off the boxes on both sides this way. It's like, the Bucks are really struggling in the half court, and Boston's got these matchups on Giannis that are great, but at the same time, the Celtics get stagnant and they start missing a lot of shots, and the Bucks get out in transition, and all of a sudden they're killing them there. The fouling is starting to go against Boston now, and that's stacking up against them. Giannis is getting a great whistle. He's figuring it out. So much stuff just goes back and forth between these two, and this is why I was terrified coming into the series. Because if I think Boston's in position to win this series, but you see again tonight, if they play below their level at all, the Bucks will blow by them. And that's what's going to happen in the series.
They have to
Celtics
play
are off
well
their game
below it, though. That's
offensively.
what I think is like what
Yeah.
you've seen here is look, part of it is Milwaukee making you play bad, and they get absolute credit for that. They make it
Right.
hard, but the Celtics played.
But they couldn't knock out the Celtics.
They
though, that's
can't
the
knock them down.
Yeah.
That's a huge
You look at
thing in
games
Boston's
1 and
favor.
3, and you're like, okay, if they make it brutally difficult for the Celtics, they'll sneak by. But the Celtics
Mhm.
blew their doors off in game 2 when they played a good game. So it's just a matter of what each game is a new one. I mean, with the possibilities are there in both directions. You just feel that like, the Celtics A game beats the Bucks A game. You just don't know if they're going to be able to bring it. But that's still how I feel watching the game. But again, it's not surprising. Milwaukee comes out and the game has the same flow as this game in game 4. It wouldn't be shocking. It's just I still think the Celtics A game beats the Bucks A game right now without Middleton.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think that's sort of the elephant in the room here, and especially when you look at the Bucks sort of trying to find that or putting guys into that role, right? Whether it's a little bit of Drew Holiday has been a lot of the time, or in game 1, guys off the bench and shooters just sort of combining to make that production, but it's not sustainable. Like it's not something that they can rely on throughout the course of the series. That's the big difference here. And look, again, like for Tatum to perform the way he did, I don't think you see that in game 4. Marcus Smart, I feel like is sort of starting to get his groove back a bit. He talked about how he was a bit sore in the beginning, but then the adrenaline took over. So I think he's going to work his way back, and I wouldn't be shocked if we see a big game from him.
Can
Monday
Ime
night.
do anything to free up Tatum, guys? Can Ime do anything to make his life easier, or it's on Tatum himself?
It's on Tatum. I mean, he's missing a significant number of wide open shots. There's nothing you can do as a coach to remedy that. The one thing I think they probably could do is get him more on switches where he's got like a significantly smaller defender on him and just again shoot over the top. Don't play around. Don't try to get deep into the paint. Just literally, if you're on the elbow or you're near the paint, just raise up over the little guy. Don't make it more complicated. But again, that's more on Tatum, I think, than Ime.
And I'm surprised he hasn't done that more, Sherrod. He hasn't done it effectively, certainly. And I think some of it's screen setting. They talked a lot about that between games 1 and 2. Those guys need to set more solid screens, Rob in particular. I think Horford set some decent ones. And Tice, who hasn't really been involved in the series, is probably the best screen setter.
Unplayable.
Yeah, but you can't play him. So Rob,
4 minutes and it was like get him out. I
want to talk about Rob because I think he's key for this right now.
He's not right.
He needs to be involved. Early on, I thought he looked
his
great.
mind is thinking one thing, his body's saying, I don't know.
Something's
the
wrong.
rust is there.
He looks like he looks like at the beginning of the year, sort of, Rob, just a little bit out of sorts. Like, yeah, his body's just not following his brain's commands, as Josue said. Yeah.
Yeah, and defensively, he's having a lot of trouble, but offensively, he's so key to freeing up Tatum and creating some active possessions where he's getting downhill and then he's in a mismatch and he's getting on the offensive glass. In those smaller Milwaukee lineups, Rob should be decimating them on the offensive glass. And when he was at his best this season, he was doing that to smaller teams. So he's got to step up. He really does. Yeah. He's key to this series. Right now, Al's just so much better. They're going small more often than not, putting Grant out there. And man, Grant, how erratic was Grant in this game?
Oh. Man. He was all over the place.
All over the place.
When he smacked the ball out of bounds on that second offensive rebound attempt there, I don't know how it looked like he had a foot for a hand on that one. I mean, you could have grabbed that rebound there.
I'm just even talking about how often he attacks.
I was telling Bobby, I feel like he was trying to avoid the over the back because it's Giannis, right? So I feel like he was trying to tap it instead of just grab it because I think he was thinking if I try to put 2 hands on it, they're going to get me for over the back. We're in the penalty. Giannis goes to the free throw line, and that would have been his 5th foul or 6th foul, something like that. So
I mean, I guess if the other option was fouling him, then I mean,
he battled. He just didn't have a great game, but he battled.
He just didn't have a great
It's tough when you're going up against a guy like Giannis. I mean, it's going to take so much out of you. You know what I mean?
Shots
No,
didn't fall.
defensively he's solid, but offensively, I think it just plays into how all over the place they are. He's driving, attacking one-on-one, trying to solve issues. There's not a great structure to the offense coming out of this game, and it's too bad because the first half of game 2, I thought that was some of the best offense the team ran all year.
Yeah.
Second half, it kind of broke
They
down.
did
and then
stagnate
tonight
in
it
the
was
second
missing.
half, and it carried over.